What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Summer CM. This is episode number 26, and heading into today's episode on the back of that last win, finally, after I didn't win any of my previous fee, getting knocked out in the CL last 16 to Barcelona. Obviously, I said in the last episode I wasn't really playing my best FIFA, you know, I'll be totally honest here, and every now and then you have sessions like that where you're not really on it. It's gonna happen, happens to everyone. Well, heading into this session here, I'll be honest here, I kind of picked it up, yeah, following game, heading into this one here, obviously with just a few remaining now. I said win 4 of the last 6 and that's it, championship in the bag. So yeah, heading into this game here, this was more like, yeah, I don't know what I was doing in the previous session, man. I wasn't really playing that kind of swag sort of style that I often try and play, where I try and do things with a little bit of flair. Yeah, it was a little bit different in this game, I'll be honest here. I was just better. You know, just totally honest here. I was just a little bit better. Maybe I was feeling sorry for myself in the previous session. I don't know. Ultimately, though, this was just a little bit different. And that means that as I was trying my normal... Oh my god, my normal, different, stylish things every now and then. Man, oh man. Yeah, so in this game, I was leading by 2-0. Second half begins. And, you know, I talk about this a lot. For those that are new to the channel, basically, back in FIFA 14, it's documented, the video's still up on YouTube. If you want to go and watch it, you're more than welcome to. I scored a goal from the halfway line with Nathaniel Klein in a Spurs CM I was doing. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. And since then, I have tried countless amounts of times, probably well over like 1,000 or 2,000 times now, to lob the keeper from the halfway line again, and I have failed to repeat that success I had back in FIFA 14. Almost 10 years have passed, and I just haven't been able to get it done since then. That is one of the closest attempts I've ever had. Yep, second half begins, try and lob the keeper from the halfway line goal. I closed the game out 2-0 comfortably anyway, but tipped onto the bar with the fingertips there by the keeper, and it remained at 2-0, which is how the game finished. I am going to keep trying until I get it right. And I know. I feel as though I'm fighting a losing battle like every single time I open up my Tinder application. But at the end of the day, I do believe it's going to happen one day. I believe that it's going to happen again. I'm sure of it. Man, I was so close to it. You know, when that ball's in the sky, I genuinely thought it was going to happen. I genuinely thought that was going to drop in. And it would have done had it not been for that fingertip onto the crossbar by the keeper there. So close. Wasn't to be, but you know what? Proof right there. I'm getting closer. And I know one day it is going to happen once again. And when it does, can you imagine if it happens on stream, man? We will literally go ballistic, won't we? So yeah, it's going to happen one day. I am sure of it. You know, it's like, I know that there's times I've come close as well when the goalkeeper's been up for a corner and I've tried to catch him, you know, well out of his goal, obviously, coming up for a corner. That wouldn't feel as good, though. Do you know what I mean? When I talk about halfway line goals, I don't mean when the keeper's out of his goal, coming forward for a corner and he's got to sprint the whole length of the pitch back. I mean when he's just a few yards off his line. I mean David Beckham versus Wimbledon, you know, lobbing Neil Sullivan. I mean, you know, Xabi Alonso, I can't remember who it was facing, but for Liverpool, lobbing the keeper from the halfway line. Charlie Adam versus Chelsea. That's what I'm talking about here. Not when the keeper's up, you know, from a corner when he's a goal down. I mean when it's, you know, when he's still in his penalty area, just a few yards, just a fraction off his line. That is what I'm talking about. And I've come close. I've hit the bar a couple of times, including there as well. Not yet, guys. Not yet, but we will keep trying. Anyway, on the back of that following game there, we went to Udinese 1-2-0, so another victory there. We had the animations at the full-time whistle sort of showing that we'd won the title. We hadn't. It wasn't right. We were still currently, possibly, mathematically able to be caught, even though it was incredibly unlikely with 4 games to go. But ultimately here, all I really needed was just a 1 point, and that would do it. So for the following game, taking on the old lady Juventus, coming to Como for this one here, as the lads from Turin would take the short trip over to Lake Como. Well, we took the lead very early, and then, oh my god, right from kickoff. Well, you know, I said I don't sweep anything under the rug. What kind of defense was that, Doxy boy? Did you just put the controller down or something? What was going on there? Were you getting a cup of tea or something while the game was going on? What was that? What was that? Literally just allowed Nesri to run all the way through there. That was just ridiculous. Terrible from me. Absolutely embarrassing. But even so, tied at 1-1. It will still be enough to see us win the title, but I wanted to win this game here and wrap the title up with the 3 points. And with 22 minutes to go, we would restore our lead. 2-2 for Spinazzola. Rare goal scorer for me here. Of course, he ended his contract after coming under the free transfer, but Spinazzola does get us what will prove to be the game winner, and that would do it. In the end, just needed a point to have that championship. In the end, we get all three, and that will confirm it. Final score coming to Juve 1, and that is that championship in the bag, and Serie are winners. And unlike last season, I was not prepared to let it happen again. Yep, 2 on the final score, and that would wrap it up. And it's felt as though for a few weeks that the title's basically had our name on it. All we've had to do was just confirm it. We were quite a few points clear of Milano and Roma and the chasing back as well, but really, after last season, like you can't take anything for granted. I absolutely bottled it last year, and I've had quite a few bottle jobs in my time, you know, playing FIFA and playing FM as well. In fact, even this year, playing Football Manager, for those that have been watching my FM side this year with Bournemouth, I think we needed just one win in our last 3 games to wrap up the Champions League, and I failed to get it done. You know, it was absolutely awful, really, really poor from me. And although I guess it was sort of like, you know, what's the word here? I guess it kind of made sense for the save based on how the save went. But even so, like in this CM, like last year, all I needed was, again, just 2 wins from those last 3 games. Just 1 win in 2 of the 3, and I failed to do it. I got 1 win, and all I needed was 1 other win to go alongside it in games where I should have won comfortably, and I lost them both. So, yeah, absolutely bottled it last season, no doubt about it. One of the worst bottle jobs I've had, no doubt about it. But it's a great lesson for life, man. You know, I talk about this a lot, but when you've had like a big setback, when you've had like a big loss, when you've had a big failure, you've been embarrassed, whatever the case may be, take those lessons and learn from it, man. Like, seriously, because it's a really valuable teacher. You learn so much more from your failures and your setbacks than you do from your successes. There is absolutely no doubt about that. I've achieved a few things in my life, not a lot, but a few things. But I'll tell you what, I've learned an awful lot more from the things that I've got wrong, from the things that I've blown, from the things that I've absolutely bottled. That is where I've had my biggest learnings in life, if you will. Now at 30 years old, turning 31 in just a few months' time, I may not have as much life experience as some people, but from what I have learned, both professionally, personally, romantically for sure as well, the lessons that I've learned from the failures have taught me so much more than the successes. And when you have made errors, when you have been humbled, when you have blown it, and believe me, I've done it in all 3 of those categories in my life, both personally, professionally, but also for sure romantically as well. I can tell you right now, the times where I've learned the most have been the times where I've been the one that's been to blame, and I've made sure that I've not made those mistakes again. Or if I have, I've tried to make sure I don't make it again. But anyway, I simmed the final 3 games. The title was done. We didn't win any. We drew 2 and then lost the final day. But I simmed the final 3 games. You see, that is that Como challenge. That's all we needed to know. 6 clear of Napoli in the end. Milan, last year's title winners, 7 points behind, and Juve are outside the top 4. So yeah, dominant season, joint highest scorers, but best defensive record in the division as well. And there's no doubt about it. That to me is the reason why I was able to make this season a really successful one. Because last season I dropped so many points, conceding really silly goals. But this year I bought in Hatterberg on a free, which gave us much more first team quality on that right hand side, because beforehand we were using the 2 academy graduates, Lucas Collar and also Colombo, but the problem was they're just so lowly rated. And at the end of the day, I mean, we're trying to go for, you know, high finishes in the Champions League and major honours domestically as well. It's going to be hard to do that with like a really low rated player in what is a key position for us on that right hand side. So the signing of Hatterberg really made a big difference, as did Casale coming in from Leeds as well. Proper first team quality defensive centre half there, and of course we also replaced Caprile with Ordero as well. But yeah, that to me is what made the biggest difference in my opinion this season. And you would have seen it during the year when I was changing my formation from 3 at the back to 5 at the back. Those were the games where I often managed to shut teams out and keep clean sheets, because, you know, I mentioned this before, like FIFA is a really, really open game, and that is why 3 at the back systems I don't think they're very preferable to play unless you're very, very, very disciplined and you don't press with your centre halves. Now, that is very simple because when the games are so open, and FIFA games, listen, we all know that FIFA games are like basketball games, like it's so end to end nowadays, because I'm talking both online and offline here, but they're both so end to end because, you know, players are just going up and down and up and down and up and down all the way through the game, all the way through the 90 minutes. And that means that if you've got two wide midfielders like we did there, Hatterberg and Spinazzola, for example, like, a lot of the time, they're going to be just as far forward as Colombo and Mbolo, our two men up top, if we are playing down the flanks, which again, we often do. So that's why I always say, like, if you're playing a three at the back system, don't feel as though dragging those wide midfielders back to wing back is going to prevent you from having good wing play on the offensive end, because you're still going to be able to get them forward due to the way the game is played. So that's why, to me, the signing of Hatterberg made such a big difference to me, man. It really, really did, and helped me become a lot more better defensively as well. But also, you would have seen that the stats, chipped in with a goal and 5 assists as well. So yeah, that to me was the big reason why this year I was much better defensively. And what's that old saying? Sir Alex Ferguson would tell you this: defense wins championships. So yeah, no doubt about it. That made the biggest difference to me, and that's why this season you would have seen it a lot. Instead of just playing that flat 3-5-2 that I often had done throughout the course of the past few years, this time I was dropping those wide midfielders, Spinazzola on the left and also Hatterberg on the right, back down to wing back on occasion. Sometimes I'd lead them at 11 RM, mainly in the home games I expected to win, but oftentimes I'd drag them back to wing back, and that really helped me tighten things up as well. So there it is, championship in the bag for Como. Like I said, learning from loss, learning from failure, not prepared to bottle it once again, and that is that. Serie A in the bag, but on the back of a humiliating early exit in the Coppa Italia, and a humbling in the Champions League as well, being a 4.5-star team, going into the new season, Season 5 in the summer window. I expect a big budget, and we'll need to make big transfers if we are to compete for a Serie A title again, but also possibly a double and maybe even a treble as well. But that will end today's episode of the Summer CM, guys. So if you thank you for watching, enjoyed it. If you had, then please do drop a like. So you'll have a fantastic day, and I will see you for the next episode of the Summer CM very soon.